Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Niamh Cassidy, and I am really excited to be joined by a new guest today. So Parnuuna is a guide and teacher behind Feel Good Rebel, helps heart-led entrepreneurs restore self-trust, expand capacity and build businesses with calm momentum and integrity. And I met Parnuuna inside another business club, and what really drew me to her was she was talking about visibility without feeling that you're losing yourself in it, or the self-abandonment. And I was thinking, I know a lot of the people, a lot of you listeners, a lot of the people that I work with feel really lost in the social media grind and in that visibility grind as well. So I asked her if we could have a chat about that. But first of all, we're going to get to know her a little bit better. So Parnuuna, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up doing this work?
Okay. Yes. Hello. It's so good to meet you, by the way. And thank you for having me. I ended up here because I've been in the online world for 16 years, on and off, doing different things. And one of the most difficult things was staying visible in a way that felt good, right? And I have always gone toward a life that feels good, and that includes building a business that feels good. And the reason I came here to this particular niche is because I started out as a life coach, and I got to talk with some clients and some people. The thing that came up most was actually the fear of showing up in a way, or the pressure of showing up. And what I noticed was that many people, we get bombarded with ideas how to show up in the world, how to be on social media, and how to, just be consistent and just, do all these things in order to be visible online. And I felt that it never really felt good. And now I've actually tried it recently to just show up like consistently a lot. And it messes with your system if you're not there. Well, yes. So long story that I didn't even go into, but the journey is just that I had a lot of conversations that led to that. This is actually where people struggle the most when it comes to online business and showing up online is the visibility part. And I do believe that many of us, especially women, I work with women as well. So especially women have a tendency to feel this intense fear of showing up because it's so scary to put yourself out there due to, I don't know, conditioning or, feelings of not safety, unsafety.
Yeah. Let's dig into that a little bit more, because I would feel the same. I see the exact same things happening with my clients and even with myself. When I started and still at times still, how difficult we do find to put ourselves out there. And we have kind of a high level understanding that women find this a little bit more difficult because of social conditioning and different things. But if we dig into that a little bit deeper, what do you think is going on for many people with that fear that's there?
What I think is going on is that we do not give ourselves permission to touch in with ourselves. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, what I feel is that we need some sort of external validation that we can do the things that we feel is right for us to do, especially as women, because we're so conditioned to, follow orders. But like, we have to we are the ones who are keeping the peace, right? Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
I hope it does. We're the ones who keep the peace. And just that particular conditioning makes it really hard to say our truth or stand in our own power, because it can feel so scary with what might be the reaction to our magic and our power, really. And that feels like it's kind of that is scary.
And as it is, and it's real, I suppose, in that it can, we can get a backlash sometimes when we put ourselves out there. Thankfully, it's not something that a lot of the people I work with have experienced. But when people do become more visible, these type of things
Mm-hmm.
can happen, and we can, in the world that we're living in at the moment, we can see that play out in even more force for a lot of people. So the fear is real and well placed in lots of
Mm-hmm.
ways, but at the same time, we shouldn't need to be afraid. We should be able to put ourselves out there as
Absolutely.
ourselves.
Absolutely. Yes, we should. And we can. And I think one of the ways that we can put ourselves out there as we, work with this fear that we have is doing it really, really incrementally.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where the general advice of just stay consistent and just, show up every day can feel daunting or pressuring. And then what I've experienced is that when I've talked to people who've adhered to these advice and didn't feel good, is just peel back all the layers that feel too much. And a specific example is someone who got the advice to post 3 times on LinkedIn, right? And what she felt is she had one, maybe 2 posts a week in her that felt good and she could stand behind, but she struggled so much with what is the third one that I need to do. Just that train of thought when you feel like you have to do 3 because somebody told you to, that creates that resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really show up and you're not really showing up as you because you're so focused on, I have to do this. So peeling back, just picking off one thing is oh, I have the 2. That's enough. Okay, that feels safe. I can do that, to get that feeling of it's doable and it feels safe enough. That's the magical place we want to start at, and remove all these pressures that we get from outside.
So I don't know whether you experience the same, but I know with a lot of my clients, what I see is that consistency can be helpful, but this idea, as you said, that someone has told me that I have to do this, or I've heard
Mm-hmm.
somewhere that this is what I should do, so
Mm-hmm.
therefore I do it, and
Yeah.
they do it for a period of time, and then they feel completely and utterly despondent or burned out for it, and then do nothing for another period
Yeah.
of time. Is that
Yeah.
something you see happening?
Yes. I think it's a very either or mentality, right? And that is when you feel unsafe, it's often the either or we go to. It's either it's working or it's not, right? And I have been there myself, and even recently, because as I mentioned just earlier, that I have been posting very much for 2 months, consistently for I think I made 6 posts a day for two
Wow.
months or something. And it's a ridiculous amount. It's a full-time job. And also if you want to do engagement and stuff. Anyway, it's a lot. And some people feel really good doing that. Other people, they're like, I don't even know if I can do once a week. And what I feel is that we don't give ourselves permission to feel into if it feels right for us. And that is when we put on the story on I'm not made out for this, therefore I'm a failure or something like that, right? I'm really putting out on an edge here, but that's the story that we tell ourselves, and then we freeze or paralyze ourselves by feeding into that story. So what I would want to do is to see this as experiments. If you feel like you want to try out a consistent routine that somebody else have given you and say, okay, it looks like something I could do, like post consistently every day or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you try it for a little time and it feels daunting and it feels bad. and and then you can tell yourself that it's not because you're a failure. It's not because that you are doing something wrong. It's because that particular model does not fit you, and you are not, you have not conditioned yourself, or you're not prepared yourself for doing this consistently there yet. Does that make sense? Because
It absolutely does.
yeah.
It's about leaning into what feels right for you. So as
Mm-hmm.
you were saying, it's okay to try it out. especially when we're new, we're not really sure what we should be doing or what
Absolutely.
what what is going to work. So it's okay to
Mm-hmm.
try out these things that people might be suggesting, but then to take that reflective piece to be able to sit back and say, well, how has this felt for me? Has this felt good? Has it felt helpful? Has it felt energizing? Do I feel excited that I'm learning as I go along? Or do I
Mm-hmm.
feel resistance and stress and overwhelm, and being able to lean into what's actually happening?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I suppose that is also a skill to learn
Mm.
as you play with this online sphere that we're in. You test and try things, and try to have, yeah, try to move along. It's a magical space, but yeah, it's a skill. Like all these things are a skill, and I feel that if you move with, like, if you keep checking in with yourself, I think that's really the important thing, and give yourself permission to check in with yourself as you move along, because it can feel like it's so easy to feel that you're in the wrong if something is not working yet, because it might work because you're not seeing anyway. Right.
So, and
Yeah.
the other thing I think that sometimes people struggle with, it can be before that even happens, or it can be after kind of trying something out. And so if we look at the before, people might say, I don't like social media, I don't want to be on social media is not for me, but I want to reach this group of people, and they're the people I want to serve, and they're the people who I want to have as clients. And while not everybody in every business needs to be on social media, for most businesses and for most birth workers, so people who are being doulas, lactation consultants, being on social media is going to be beneficial from their business point of view, because people do go to that to find people.
Mm.
So sometimes our resistance can come from this idea that we're not social media people, and I don't want to do that.
Mm.
But maybe it's a fear, or a fear of showing up, or something else. So how do we find a balance between supporting people who kind of feel that way in the moment, but also maybe that this might be beneficial for them, for their business, and being able to help the people that they want to help?
Mm. I think, like, well, what could be good to talk about is what is the purpose of their particular social media, like, right? Like, how do they want to get in contact with people, and not look at the platform itself, because social media is this really big, daunting thing. If you look at it from a bigger perspective, it's like, wow, it's like billions of people. Like, anyway, it can be really big, and when you put yourself out there, it's like, oh my god, all of humanity will see all my steps. Well, anyway, what I think is figuring out what you want to use it for, because that is also in your power to decide how you want to use it and how you want to yes, utilize the platforms that you want to use, and decide on how you want to be seen. Another little example is that, like, if you use, now I use Facebook and Instagram, and I use, like, I communicate with people, like talk in comments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so much noise out there, but in reality, the magic happens when you comment or talk to people,
Yeah.
right? That is basically what we want to do. And if you can dial the pressure down to, oh, I just want to talk with people, the true people that I really enjoy talking to and that I feel that I can help, and you just hang out on social media, which I think we all do, even though we don't like it sometimes. And we see someone, like, ask a question, and feel, oh, I could answer that, and then just have that genuine human connection, because that is what we really crave, and that is the magic of, like, true visibility, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think strategize, this is not my forte, to strategize on how to tactics and
Mm-hmm.
stuff with your profile, but you can optimize your profile to, when people get curious about you and see what's on your profile and see, oh, that's the type of person that I would like to engage with. But anyway, that's not the thing that I want to say. But if you comment on people's posts or other comments, like just have genuine conversation, people can feel that there's a human there, and ooh, that's exciting, right? And that connection is the actual visibility. Like,
I totally agree. And something that I
yeah.
often talk about with people is that social media is supposed to be social. So it's not a one-way system. It's not I post something and that's for everybody else to consume. You know, that might be the way people are using social media sometimes nowadays,
Yeah.
but it's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
about building connections. It's supposed to be social. It's supposed to be a two-way communication, not a billboard where you just put it up on the wall and walk away.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yes, and I think that that is where you as the creator or the business owner can decide, like, how are you going to use this? Like, if you want to use it as a billboard, just go all in on that, I suppose. And if you want to connect with people, figure out a way that feels good to you to connect with people. And you know, it's fairly simple when you peel away all the pressures of, like, the noise of how to's, you know,
Mhm.
all the ads that tell you just do these 5 things in order to gain 10,000 followers or whatever, you know, like it's really peeling all away that noise and genuinely figure out, how do I really want to connect with my customers,
Mhm.
and then build from there, because it's also how, like, how you feel in your business and how you want to show up in your business is the foundation, right?
Yeah, and
And yeah.
most people, you know, we go into this world of self-employment because we want to work for ourselves. You know,
Yes.
we want to do things the way
Yes,
feels good for us rather than
absolutely.
being, you know, under someone else's rules or
Yeah.
guidance or whatever it might be. But sometimes
Yeah.
we can get lost in that and
Yeah.
forget in that point of view when we're trying to put ourselves out there, that actually we get to decide what this looks like.
We do. And I do think, again, as I said before, it's a skill. Okay? A little story from my own life is
Mm,
like, when I started this Feel Good Rebel and I went into life coaching, the story that I felt that I experienced in my own life was that when I started this, I went all in March last year. So
mhm,
it's fairly recent
mhm,
business venture that I'm on. But I quit my freelance jobs and I started this, and I started working on my computer. You know, I started building my website and played in Canva and strategized, oh, I can do this and this and this. And when it came to, you know, being visible, that was when it started to get scary. And
mm,
after a while, I could feel, okay, I'm playing way too much on my website and way too much on graphics and pretty things than putting myself out there and actually having the conversations. And what I realized was, well, I'm an introvert, so that's also something to say, maybe, that I was really scared of talking to people. And that
mm,
was just my block, right? It's like, I want a business which is basically having customers,
mhm.
right? Talking with people like I'm talking to you right now, or, you know, other people. And I was scared of that. I didn't know it, but my actions was fueled by that subconscious fear that I had. So I didn't go out and talk with people. So that's also something that you can feel into and see if you have a little fear of actually talking with people. Does that make sense? Because that was
Oh,
what I experienced.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And a lot of kind of people who are coming into this work, you know, as doula spirit workers, obviously we're coming into it because we want to help people, because we want to
Mm-hmm.
be with pregnant people and mums and babies and families, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the work that has drawn people into doing it. But
Mm-hmm.
the part of being a business owner and self-employed is kind of like, oh, how am I supposed to do this part? Because I
Yeah.
can't do that part. I won't get any clients if I don't do the businessy part.
Yeah. Yeah.
And reaching out to connect with people can be difficult. And a lot of people kind of have a fear as well that when they're putting themselves out there, that maybe people who are further along in their career might, they're afraid of what they might think of the
Mm.
content that
Mm-hmm.
they put out, and that can be a real big fear for people.
Yeah, it's the comparison that
Mhm.
kills. Yes, absolutely. And that is, like, it's so easy to compare yourself to other people, but we should put on, what are these called that horses
Blinkers.
have? Yeah.
We call them blinkers.
Blinkers. Like when we work on our own stuff, because in reality, again, like you only have to be, of service to the customers that are ready for you. The other people who want the other one who feels more far along in their business, they will go to them. But we all have people to say, like, we are so many people and we all need each other, right? And we are in a space where we are capable of helping the ones that we can see, I can help you. And that is all there is needed. We do not need to help every person in the whole wide world. And that can feel like we have to be able to help everybody, but we don't. And the comparison to other people further along, well, you will get further along as you move along as well. And then people will start looking at you and say, oh, I don't know what she would say. And if you imagine yourself in that space, it's like, well, I will support you. Come on, man.
It's definitely, the comparison thing is really big for people. It's that fear of what will people think of me. But what you said there was really lovely, because that's the reality. If we think, well, if I was that person further along, how am I going to react to this newer person? And the majority of the time, that's with kindness, compassion, and support. It's not with
Absolutely.
criticism and, all of
Yeah.
these things that we imagine everybody else might be doing.
Yeah.
That might happen, 1% at a time, but we don't have to listen to those people.
Yeah.
Most people want to support you, want to help you, are cheering you
Absolutely.
along, and hoping for the best. And the other
Yeah.
part of it, you mentioned it earlier, we have this idea of, we post something and the entire world is actually going to see it, when the
Yeah.
reality is we'll be lucky
Yeah.
to get a few hundred eyeballs on it most of the time when we're starting out.
Yes. Absolutely. Another thing that I could mention, like the thing that might feel scary, is also that your system is used to, like your nervous system is used to reacting to the people around you, like the people that you spend time with in your daily life. If you are working other places, or if you have family or friends that do not maybe understand what it is that you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and that sense of bracing that you have towards, but I know it from myself, because having an online business I live in a small village, and having an online, it's like, why don't you just have a normal job, just that thing, right? Anyway, you might be able to recognize this, but having to kind of brace for people's comments in your daily life, or your friend sphere, even on social media, like with the people that you hang out with, people who don't understand what it is that you're doing, that can really feed into the fear of showing up as well.
It
And
can.
we are not speaking to those people when we show up for a business. Like, those are not our customers. Those are, like, if you have like an uncle or somewhere, that's not the one you want in your doula, right?
Absolutely. And I
But
think that's a really good
yeah.
point in feeling into the reactionary things that can happen in everyday life. So you mentioned the nervous system there at the start of that point. And we do look at our wider circle and think, what are all those people going to think about me? And yes, you will have some who will be like, what, why did you leave your job for this? Or what is it that you actually do? You help mammies? What like, I didn't need
Yeah.
one of them. So we hear a lot
Yeah.
of that. I didn't need a doula, I
uh,
didn't need
yeah.
that, or I didn't do this. But as you said, they're not the people that we're trying to help. So when we're thinking about being visible, when thinking about putting ourselves out there, we want to think about the client, about the customer, not about ourselves, not about everybody else. We want to think, well, what's going to be of service to them?
Yeah, and I think one thing that, if you're really recent or early in your businesses and haven't really had the experience of somebody saying, "Oh my God, you're speaking to me," you know, like, try finding groups of these people that you want to talk to and ask for one-on-one conversations, or just have a chat in the comment, and just be curious, and get that sense of what is the language, and what is the struggle, and what is the how are these people thinking, like, and you might even know because you've been there. So I suppose, like, many of us start a business because we've been in whatever it is that we're having a business around, and just have a conversation with real people to get that sense of, oh, I don't have to speak to my uncle so he understands it. I can speak to this person and we have the same language. I don't have to, mold myself to make people who don't want to understand me understand me. I think that's also a point that, but yeah, it's part of the whole journey, I think.
I think that's worth repeating, not to mold ourselves to people who don't want to understand me to understand me. I think that's really, that will resonate like with a lot of people, to actually feel into that. Oh, I don't have to be everything to everybody. I don't have to explain everything to everybody. The people who need me or who want me will have some sort of connection already. They will have an understanding of where I'm coming from. Yes, there's other technical things that sometimes we have to explain our services and how they work, but that core message, that core connection piece can be just for the people who we're looking to help and not for everybody else that we're worried about.
Absolutely. Yes. And if you're really, like, if we're just staying in this topic, if you're really worried about some particular person, like looking at your work, if you have like an Instagram or whatever, but you can block people or
Yeah,
so
totally.
that is possible to, okay, I don't want this person to see my stuff. So that is a possibility as well. Whatever makes you feel safe showing up, like is really helpful. And it can be done in so many ways, because we want to feel safe. Like, I think that is the crux of the matter when showing up, is that we feel unsafe showing ourselves, like within our magic or our power or whatever it is that we're doing. So whatever helps us feel safe showing up is a good thing to do. Yeah.
And I think that's a lovely way to kind of round up the conversations, where we started and where we're ending, where it is about that feeling of safety and how we can create it for ourselves and still enjoy what we're doing and still reach the people that we want to reach. So Parnuuna, thank you very much for coming on the podcast today. Do you have any parting words that you'd like to share? Is there anything that we didn't cover that you think is important? And also, if you can tell people where to find you if they want to connect with you more.
Okay, yeah, I want to end off with, like, when you figure out like you don't have to adhere to other people's how to be visible and you find your own, like, it gets so much more joyful. And you can find that joy by just peeling off all the layers that feels like pressure, and then you can move on to, show up for you consistently, so you can figure out how to show up for others in a way that feels good. I just wanted to end with that, because joy is a really big part of my work as well.
I love that. It feels so nice.
That's good. And my Instagram or handle anywhere is Feel Good Rebel.
And I will put all of that. I will put your links in the show notes as well, so people can find you. So once again, thank you for joining me on the podcast, and for everyone listening, thank you for joining us today. And do feel free to reach out to both myself and Parnuuna about any insights you have about the conversation we have today. I'm sure we would both be delighted to hear from you, and I would, and Parnuuna will be too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.